Hey yo guys, how's it going? Tally here, and today I'm going to bring you a Mermail deck profile from my friend Jamie, who knows a thing or two about Mermail. Now before we dive in, as always, make sure to like, make sure to comment, hashtag for the algorithm, and make sure to subscribe if you're new here. Jamie's going to talk a lot about theory, and he's really good at doing that, and it's a really spicy deck list, so make sure to drop that like. Let's dive in. So guys, this is the deck list on screen. Of course, we have the amazing Jamie with the silky smooth voice, and he's going to tell us a little bit about his Mermail Atlantean deck list.
Thank you for the warm introduction as always. So this is the Uber Combo Deluxe Mermail version. So there's two primary combos in this deck that I'll sort of briefly touch on later. But essentially this is going first, really powerful ending boards, lots of just great plays. So standard package to begin with, 3 Teus, 3 Megalo, and 1 Gund. You know, all the other Mermails are gone now, and we don't need to play Mander because we're now have access to Calamities via the different combo using Linkaribo and Auroradon and so on. But, you know, Teus is still great. You know, it's gets your Dragoons and so on in grave. Megalo does the exact same job, and when things don't go as planned, it's always good to have fallback extenders. Gund, just being Monster Reborn from a discard, will always be useful. So 3 Diva, 3 Prince, you know, speaks for itself, best starters. 3 Dragoons, still staying with the 1 Heavy Infantry because, again, it can be handy going second to just have that negate, bait, and so on. 3 Deep Sea Minstrel, one of the best cards to come out. It's a shame that we don't have it in a higher rarity, but Minstrel, being able to look at your hand, your opponent's hand, banish a card till the end phase, you know, is one of the best effects that we've gotten in a long time. If you have this in your hand going first and you discard Dragoons, if your opponent has any idea about what Mermails can do, 90% of the time I find they just scoop because they have the knowledge, and it's just fantastic. You know, getting a look at your opponent's hand. So 1 Lapis Dragon. Lapis Dragon is still fantastic. We've cut Brionac and stuff now, which is a shame, but due to Needle Fiber with Prince sends as cost, so you send the Dragoons as cost, so even if they ash the Prince, the sent Dragoons resolves, adding the Lapis Dragon, which summons itself. It's a tuner, and you just go. So that's why Deep Sea Diva and Prince are your, you know, 1-card combos. I would even argue a lot of the time, you know, if you're blind, if you haven't seen Minstrel, so you don't know what's in your opponent's hand, you don't have a way to stop hand traps, you've got a choice between Diva and Prince. It might be a tough call, but I would almost always advise going with Prince, because even if they Imperm, Gamma, or Ash your Prince, you're still going to get a Dragoons away for cost. You know, they might have 2 negates, but we can't live in a world of these hypotheticals. Yeah, a lot of the time, if you have no knowledge and your opponent's got, you know, plenty of unknown advantage against you, I'd advise going for the Prince, unless you've got a way to protect. So 1 Mullen Glacier, again, Big Daddy ripped to heavy tuner ban list. We're now a Plague Spreader Zombie. He has a fairly great effect that, you know, it's not quite as good as a discard, but in this we are playing Red Eyes Fusion. If you draw your Red Eyes Fusion, it's a good thing to put back. So the last of sort of the combo and monster pieces is Cal Griffin. So this is a level 7, which is relevant for the Calamities combo. So you'll summon this out with Auroradon, you tune it with Plague Spreader to make Croc, and then, as you'll also see in our extra deck, you'll summon Trish, the fusion variant, and that's how you make your Calamities play. With Cal Griffin as well, if you draw it, it has the same effect. You contribute 2 tokens to summon itself. So if you draw it and you still make your full Auroradon combo, that's fine. You generate the tokens with Auroradon, and then you just summon it from hand in pretty much the exact same way. So yeah, you don't want it in your hand, but it's not dead if it is. For our hand trap package, we're currently playing 3 Nibiru and the 3 Gamma. The reason for Nibiru and Gamma is just generally one of the better hand traps this format. You know, it's good for dealing with Zexal and stuff if you're going second, and just hard striking things off the board. And if you can resolve it on your turn, it's extra resources. Nibiru, now that things have been weakened, now that not as many decks can play over Nibiru, this is a very combo-focused version of Mermail. So when you're going second, there's not as many plays to sort of pop off and break boards. So having access to something like Nibiru that, you know, just complete blowout. You know, a lot of decks now struggle to play over. Plenty of decks still can, but nowhere near to the extent they were. But, you know, that's player choice. You could make that Ash or Imperm, but this is what I've played, and it's felt good with me. I've not really felt there's a huge amount of times I'm like, I wish I had Ash and so on. So then we've got Dark Magician and Black Red Eyes Black Dragon for the Red Eyes combo. 3 Deep Sea Area. I've gone for 3 just because you want to have as much chance of seeing your stars as possible. And if you draw something like Diva and Prince along with Aria, then you can use the Aria to search the Minstrel and try and get a card sniped from their hand before you go into your main combo pieces, so you don't get negated. Because at the end of the day, Minstrel can either bait a negate from their hand, or best case scenario, you look at their hand, they've got nothing but Nibiru, you snipe that out their hand, blah blah blah. So 3 Arias, what I'm happy with. You could cut it to 2 for other things, like I'll say in a wee sec. Still got the 1 Mizuchi. If something goes wrong with your combo, or you just happen to open enough extenders that you end on a Mermail, Mizuchi's great because it still deals with Dark Ruler No More and Super Poly and so on. At the very least, if your opponent is still going to resolve the Dark Ruler No More, they have to get rid of other cards from their hand to play it. They've got to bait it with another spell, and if you've resolved Mullen Glacia and so on, that hand's already thin. So even if they bait out the Mizuchi and then Dark Ruler you, odds are you've done a lot of damage by that point anyway. Monster Reborn, just a free extender. 1 for 1, again, it's access to Prince, which, it's just another way to get your combo started. And then, of course, the 1 Red Eyes Fusion. Okay, so the extra deck is very tight here because, like I said, this is 2 combos squeezed in together. So both of your 1-card combos here with Diva or Prince. The first one, playing blind. So your ending board is Verte, Dragoons, Herald, and Mullen Glacia. So you've ripped 2 cards out their hand, and then you've got the 2 Omni Negates as well as the macro effect with Herald. So if you're blind, that's fantastic. And then the other combo is the Aurora Dawn and Calamities combo, which is more advisable if you know what your opponent's playing, if it's a monster heavy strategy and so on. Then I'd recommend going for that. So for the extra deck, we play the 1 Linkuriboh. You only really play this for the Aurora Dawn combo because you need to link it Prince into Linkuriboh to make your later play, because when you summon the tokens from Linkross, you're going to need to be able to tribute one of them away with Linkuriboh already in the grave, because obviously you can't link the tokens themselves. So the Linkuriboh in the grave lets you tribute one of the tokens on field. So that's the only reason you really want to play that. 1 Linkross, Barricade Blocker. Again, this is all to go into your Aurora Dawn combo. 1 IP Masquerena. This mostly comes up now if you're going first and you get negated, but you can still make 2 monsters on board. You're more likely going to just make Verte. Now this is designed so that even if you are getting hand tapped, even if you do get negated, you've got fallback plays. IP is one of them, along with Verte. I would argue though that IP is probably more of you've really popped off, you've seen all your extenders, you've gone full combo, and it just so happens you can squeeze out an IP so you can link away your dead Verte and stuff to make an Appaloosa, which is why we're not playing Unicorn, because a lot of the time if you got negated and you were just going to end on a IP, you would pass and make the Unicorn on their turn for some form of disruption. But now with Dragoons in the format, if you're going to make a Link 2 and pass, I think I know which one I'd rather go for. 1 Halifabrax. We're not playing 2. You could make the room for it if you wanted to. But I've found most of the time, if you're going to get negated, it's normally going to happen with Diva or Prince. It's going to happen before you make it to Halifabrax a lot of the time. And if it doesn't, you've probably resolved Minstrel before that point anyway. So I don't really feel a need to play 2. A lot of the time the boards here are so powerful and you're ripping so many cards out their hand that they either play defensively and pass, or they scoop in general. You don't need to worry too much about follow-up plays, but they are here if you need them. So 1 Halifabrax feels fine to me. 1 Verte for your Red Eyes Fusion. 1 Aurora Dawn. The 1 Appaloosa. Borload's mostly here to out Dragoons. It's, even if you're playing against Dragoons and so on, if you fan trap them but they still make it, you can just spew resources onto the board easily enough and make Borload. If you are more comfortable though, what you can also do is play the Black Luster Link and then run into Verte and then use its non-target banish. I've seen other people playing Trish as well, but I feel that that's a bit more fidgety to reliably access, just with the way the levels and so on work in this deck. So we're then playing the one Marcher, again, part of the combo. Arclight, really good card. I did have a bit of a learning curve when I started using this more recently, which is needing to summon that as late as possible so you don't disrupt your own plays with its macro effect. Not that I would have done something like that. We've then got Crocodragon, which ever since I knew he existed, I wanted to squeeze into a Mermail list, and now I can, even if he is just as fodder. In a one-card combo, you're going to have other cards in your hand, but he's what essentially enables it to be a true one-card combo that doesn't even require a discard, because the way the combo works is you'll draw a card off him, and then you'll reset it with Plague Spreader as part of the combo, which, in every sense of the word means it doesn't even need a discard. One Daddy Dark Dragoon gets it done, he gets it sorted. Hard to go against, easy to play with. Somehow I still lose him a lot. But yeah, he gets the job done. The one Trish, you're summoning this in your Aurora Dawn combo, and then Big Daddy VFD, because it wouldn't be one of my lists without him. So onto the side deck. You'll notice here I don't really have anything for going first, none of my staple different dimension ground. The main reason for that is there's so much gas in this, because this is just combo. This is, you're doing as much as you can first, so you don't really need any answers. If you know what your opponent's playing, if they're playing spell or control, then from your combo you're probably going to end on your Dragoon's Herald stuff. Trust me, you're going to end on way more than just Herald and Dragoons. Those are one card combos. You're putting out more. The idea is you've got combos for blind, combos for control, and combos for combo. So you don't really need to put in a lot going first. So what we've got here then are the Lancia. Orcust is returning. This could change depending how much we see Orcust or even PK Fire. But it seems generically quite good. If I'm not playing different dimension ground for going first, then Lancia is the next best thing. So we've then got the one Anchotops, pretty sacky. Not as bloody sacky as every time the one Call by the Grave came up in testing for this deck. Genuinely, the amount of times was I'm getting flashbacks. So yeah, one Pankratops. This, as you might notice with this side deck, it really doesn't like back row and control. This is just board breaking and a lot of aggro to spells and traps, because Mystic Mind can do one. 3 Dark Ruler no more. 1 Harpy's Feather Duster. I'm so glad this has come back. I never thought it would. I thought the printing of Lightning Storm was the nail in the coffin for a TCG return of Duster, but through Lightning Storm, again, more back row hate. Evenly Matched, again, same thing in Red Reboot. As side deck is mostly for going second, a lot of punishment to back row decks, but enough there for combo decks as well, because you're already in this build playing Nibiru and Gamma and so on. So if you're going second, you're probably going to side out things like your Minstrel, Mauling Glacia, and Mizuchi. You'll side them out, put whatever you need in to answer it. There's pretty good siding ratios here, and again, same thing. If you are going first and you were putting anything in, like if you're up against Orcust and you're going first and you're just scared of bricking, you might put the Lancias in instead of the Nibiru. But that's beggar's choice.
Cool. As usual, man, I love what you bring, right? I love the kind of creativity that you bring to a deck profile, because, again, I'd never heard of Cal Griffin, again, to the point where I goes, Jamie, are you sure you didn't mean Coltwing, which is kind of like the O-line replacement? And then you explained it, and again, I thought it's just clever. Again, for the Mermail stuff, it's pretty standard, but it's one of those really consistent engines. It doesn't need to be huge, it's just tight and consistent. And the kind of strategy surrounding ripping cards, setting up negates, and I just love it, man. I love it. I love a good hand loop deck, and I do love me some negates. So I'm loving this. I might give it a try. Maybe a 100 duels. Let us know down in the comments below if you'd like a Mermail 100 duels, and maybe we'll make that happen. But overall, yeah, loving this, man. So let's take it to the outro. In fact, before we do so, anything you want to say, Jamie?
As always, thanks for giving my deck some light and some love. And if anyone wants to theory craft down in the comments, you know, I'm always up for a good square go. So.
Absolutely. Anyway, yeah, let's take it to the outro, guys. Guys, that's the deck profile. I hope you enjoyed it. I think it's really pretty cool. It's like really not bricky. It's got lots of extenders and it's got 2 separate game plans where if you're interrupted in one, you can just go straight into the other, which is really, really nifty. It's an amazing word, nifty, isn't it? Just like that deck list. So, guys, as always, you have been amazing. I have been Tally. I will catch you all later. Bye.